All right, Tracy, thank you. And this morning, we're learning about a woman from our area. She's from Kennesaw, killed in the siege on the Capitol. Loved ones say Roseanne Boyland was a passionate supporter of President Trump, and they urged her not to go to Washington. Joe Ripley joining us live now from Atlanta with much more on her story.
Roseanne Boyland's family just grieving this morning. They called her a happy, wonderful person, ready to give of herself to others, but very passionate as well. As you mentioned, a strong supporter of President Trump. Roseanne was determined to go to Washington, D.C. this week to see the president speak. An incident report saying, though, first responders were called to the Capitol, where they found U.S. Capitol Police performing CPR on Boyland around 5 o'clock that evening. She'd reportedly collapsed, went to the hospital, and died about an hour later. Boyland's family got word Thursday of her death. Her nieces called her Roro affectionately. Relatives warned her, though, not to become so wrapped up in online conspiracy theories and fringe political beliefs, pleading with Boyland not to go to that rally.
My wife was really upset about it and had asked her not to go for obvious reasons. They got an argument about it. They have different political views. My wife didn't want her to go. And, it was something that she felt passionate about, and she went.
And Boyland, one of 3 people who apparently died of medical emergencies, according to Capitol Police, in connection with that incident at the Capitol on Wednesday. Coming up at 6:30, I'll tell you how her family believes President Trump is partly to blame for her death.